Who in your mind has stood out at the OTAs? Who stood out to you outside of the quarterbacks? Let's get beyond Trey and Sam and the whole quarterback discussion. Outside of the quarterbacks, give me some guys that have stood out to you at the OTAs. We've seen a couple different practices now.
Yeah, outside of the quarterbacks, I would say Jordan Mason. He really looked. I mean, obviously Christian McCaffrey, I think is this generation's version of Jerry Rice in the way that he practices. But outside of McCaffrey, Jordan Mason looks like he's the second best back on the team right now. He's been very solid. I really like what we've seen out of Jordan Mason.
He looks lighter and faster, doesn't he?
He does. I mean, he's just a really, he's quick. He has a good burst. We saw him catch the ball a couple of times on Wednesday. Brandon Ayuk, just, he looks like he's out there doing Brandon Ayuk things. You look at the offensive line and Spencer Burford and the size that he's put on and what he's doing. I think if he can settle in at right guard and he can play all those downs, that's going to be really helpful for the 49ers. Over on the defensive side of the ball, you look at the cornerbacks. Deommodore Lenoir looks good. The other kid, Darrell Luter Jr., he's kind of struggling a little bit. He's having some hard times with guys getting behind him. I got the train's blasting his horn over here. He's excited. He likes my takes. That's why he's honking the horn so much. He's probably watching our show as we're talking. But so I would say, on the deep, we haven't seen enough of those guys yet. I'd like to see a little bit more of Jair Brown. I mean, he looks good running around, but we haven't really seen him be able to make a play yet. It was good to hear that he's had some interceptions. Heard that on Wednesday, but none of that's come in front of the media, so we're not sure quite what we've got there. So I think those are some of the bigger ones. Drake Jackson is my guy. I said this last week. I feel like he's gonna bust out. He's the breakout guy for this season. He's got the size. He's doing all the work. I found it a little interesting to hear that he's only doing 315 on the bench press and like 415 on the squats. Come on, Drake, you got to be strong. I'm not going to say how old I am, but I used to work out quite a bit until COVID hit, and I was doing 315. I was only doing it once, but come on, man.
Jack. I lifted weights all through college. The most I could ever get up on the bench was 275. So two plates and a quarter.
That's the difference. So first off, Drake Jackson's a lot bigger than me in terms of the height. So he's got him and you guys both have to push the bar farther than I am. I'm kind of, I'm more of a short and stocky guy, so I don't have the
I'll say this: arm length matters in bench. I've got 33.5-inch arms, so I do have really, really long arms. I remember I used to block my brother's shot. He was 6'6", 6'5", 6'6". But yeah, if you have short arms, you can put out, you're not moving it from your chest to full extension very far.
Exactly.
And you can typically do more, but still, so you're thinking 315, he should have been in that three plates club long. 3 plates is 305. He should have been in the 305 club long ago, is what you're saying.
Yeah, he should have. Come on, Drake. You gotta get going. But I know.
How about a jackhammer Drake Jackson liftoff?
Oh, he'd kill me.
That'd be awesome.
You put that on the bar right now, you'd have to come and save me because that thing would be stuck on my chest. But I'm talking back a couple of years ago, like I said, before COVID was hitting, and I was in the gym all the time. But right now Drake would take me, could throw me across the room. It looked like one of those those things where the guy where it looks like he's throwing a dummy up against the wall. That would be if Drake got mad at me. That's what I'd look like.
Drake stands out. There's no question. Yeah. He's really looked great. I mean, he has looked fantastic. He's put on upper body weight. He says he's about 262. I said to him, how much weight have you put on? He said about 13 pounds. He's an interesting prospect on the weight front because if you go back to SC, he had a year where he played light. He had a year where he played at almost 275. So his weight did fluctuate. He doesn't look like super ripped right now. But he definitely looks a little bigger in the upper body. But to me, it's the combination of he's moving so much more confidently, and his explosiveness and ability to flatten to the quarterback is just impressive. So You add some upper body weight, maybe that gives him a little confidence, and he hasn't lost any speed. He just looks like a guy who's ready to absolutely take off. And when you throw in Hargrave and Armstead and Bosa as the other three starters on that D line, it would not shock me if Drake wound up with 10 sacks, because I think the pocket shape is going to look different this year because of the presence of Javon Hargrave. And quarterbacks are going to be looking to sneak out that side door, and they ain't going to be running towards Bosa. So, they're going to be running towards Drake. I think if Drake just, he keeps his eyes on the ball and just plays with good awareness as a rusher, he's going to fall into a half dozen sacks just based on who he's playing with. If he really gets it done, he may have a dozen.
Yeah, I think that what you're saying there, in terms of the sacks, I don't know if 10, he could get there. Like you said, when you watch Drake Jackson, you look at the sacks that he got last year, they were all kind of second effort sacks. It was coming from somebody else pressuring the quarterback, and he was able to make the play. And with all the pressure they're going to get, especially if Eric Armstead is healthy as well, in that middle with Javon Hargrave, and you got Nick Bosa on the other side. If those three guys are working, then they're going to just be feeding the guys. It's just going to be a feeding frenzy towards Drake Jackson. He's going to be able to clean up the plate and put them away and stack them up.
See, the couple guys that have really stood out to me, Danny Gray looks stronger, better, more confident. I think there's a whole nother level that Danny Gray's getting to this summer. And the other guy that really I didn't like on draft day, but man, he is opening my eyes, is Ronnie Bell. Ronnie Bell's dad is a wide receiver coach in college right now. And so you watch this kid and you're like, he's got ordinary size, he's got ordinary length, he's got ordinary speed. There's nothing extraordinary about anything about him physically at first glance. And then he starts running routes. And it's like, this guy catches everything. And he's got great concentration. He's got great hands. He plucks it with his hands. He doesn't body catch it. He catches it in a crowd. We'll see if he can take a hit from NFL DBs and hold on. But Ronnie Bell had not a great day the other day, had a couple drops. But, I mean, those are the first drops I've seen from him. And then when I watch his Michigan film, the array of different balls that he catches really stands out. This guy's – it's not like he's got one route that he's just so great at. And you see that sometimes. Guy runs a slant route and he runs it perfectly, but then he doesn't run the full tree. This guy can run on any number of routes, and he runs them really precise. He knows how to kind of sink his hips into the break point. He's a very refined rookie. And that is, if you look at rookie receivers, they generally struggle in the NFL. Why? Because the level of refinement required to get open in college and pros is night and day. But the fact that this kid's dad, I think, is the wide receiver coach at like Southwest Missouri State or something, you can see this guy is an instructional video on how to play the position. Ronnie Bell's got a real shot to make the team, and I don't know whose job he's going to take, Jack, but those receivers better show up in this summer. I mean, Debo's on the team, and Ayuk's on the team. Everybody else better buckle the chin straps and show up ready to go, or Ronnie Bell's going to take your job.
Yeah, I thought that Ronnie Bell looked really good, in during the rookie minicamp. He looked really good in week one of OTAs, and you're right, he struggled a little bit this last practice on Wednesday with a couple of drops on throws from Lance. But overall, there's a lot to really like about him. So when you start to look at that wide receiver position, I do think he's somebody that's going to definitely be pushing for a spot on this roster. And I agree as far as the competitiveness of this. You just look at the way that he goes about it. If he can get back to the point where he was weeks 1 and 2, that's why one of the fun things about this is we're watching these guys in snapshots. We kind of saw some progression from him week 1, week 2. It was kind of all arrows up, and then you had a little bit of a dip this week. So now how does it respond next week when we see him on Tuesday, I believe it is, in week 3? And then how is he going to look when we get to the minicamp? Can these guys continue to – there's going to be ups and downs, but can they continue on a trend that's going in the right direction? Ronnie Bell is definitely one of those players to keep an eye on.
One